Make sure you get a grown-up to help you hit subscribe. That way, you won't miss out on any of the new videos that come out.
Ozzie, 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 oi. Ozzie is a friend of yours and he's a friend of mine.
G'day kids and dads, Ozzie here. I'm especially excited about today's episode because we're going to learn the basics of power tools. And then the really fun part, we're going to do our very own project with none other than the expert himself, the DIY guru, Baz Du Bois. And then finally, we're going to read a book together about tools. I'm pretty keen, so let's get stuck in. The first thing we need to know about tools, and especially power tools, is that they can be pretty dangerous if you don't use them safely. So it's always smart to make sure that you're doing this with a grown-up to help you use those power tools in a safe way. They are pretty fun though, and they can be used to fix and build all sorts of things, like build a toolbox, or a table, or fix a bike, or do a flat pack. There's so many projects you can do with tools. The main tools we're going to talk about today are the ones we're going to use in the next video, our very own little project, which is really cool, and you can do it at home with your dad, your granddad, your mum, or any grown-up really. You can get a grown-up to help you safely use a drill. And we use a drill to drill holes and to screw in screws. And screws are things that we use to hold pieces of wood and other materials together. The jigsaw is actually quite an advanced tool, and you'll probably need to wait until you're a teenager to use one of those yourself. But they're a really clever tool. They can cut in straight lines and curved lines. But they're also really loud, so you need to make sure that you're wearing your PPE gear. But what's PPE gear? Personal protective equipment. And that's things like glasses to protect your eyes, ear muffs or earplugs to protect your ears. Sometimes we wear masks to stop us breathing in any dust, and we wear hard hats to protect our head, gloves to protect our hands, high-vis safety gear so that we can easily be seen, and boots to protect our feet. So that's pretty much everything we need to learn before we get started. Now stay watching, where we're joined by our new friend Baz, who's going to show us how to build some really cool shelves that we can use to hold our Matchbox cars or toy figurines or anything you like really. It's going to be plenty of fun, so let's get stuck in.
Ozzie, 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 oi. Ozzie is a friend of yours and he's a friend of mine.
G'day kids, Ozzie here. Now who doesn't love power tools and building? I know I certainly do. And today we're going to learn about some tools that are easy for kids to use and learn with a grown-up. We're going to do a really exciting project, and to help me do that today, we've got a new friend called Baz. G'day Baz.
G'day Ozzie, how are you? And this is my son Benny. We're both mad keen DIYs and we've got a great space to do it in.
It certainly is a good space, Benny. What do you think? You're going to show Ozzie how to do a few things? Yeah. Awesome. All right, sounds good, Baz. So what project are we going to learn today?
Well, Benny and I do a lot of little projects in here, as well as put flat packs together. So I thought I would come up with a project where you need to use a little drill. Yep. And I've got a special little one that is really handy for people that only do flat packs, or if you want to get the kids involved. And something I'm going to use for this project is a jigsaw.
Perfect.
So I'm thinking about a little wall hanging unit that'll hold Matchbox toys.
Sounds perfect to me.
You like it?
I do.
Are you much of a drawer?
I reckon I can have a try.
I can. Well, I've got a couple of scrap bits of timber. You don't need much. And what I want you to do is just on the back of that, you can see that's about 10 millimeters thick.
Okay.
So it's pretty easy to cut through. If you were just to draw a racing car of some description about that long, we can get started.
Let's see what I can do. Benny, can I borrow your texter please, mate? Perfect. So kids, you're going to start with a picture of a race car, and you get mum or dad or yourself to copy that and draw that race car onto the wood. And then we're going to use that to cut out that shape. So let's get started. We've got the outline of a car here, and what we're going to do is draw one of these, then we're going to cut this piece of wood in half and put it on top of the other piece of wood, clamp them together, and we're going to use the jigsaw and we're going to cut that out, and that's going to form the sides of the shelves that we're going to build today. Now when we get to the wheels, we want them to be nice and round, so we're just going to use anything that we can find around the house or in the garage, and in this case it's a little jar that holds screws. So we're just going to place that there like that. And that is going to be for our wheels. So one wheel up there. And then one wheel down the back here. What do you think, Benny? They look like pretty good wheels. I get Benny's approval. I reckon we're off to a good start. All right, we'll just do the front here. I think I've pretty much drawn my race car. Benny, Baz, what do you reckon? Are we good to go?
You like it, mate?
Yeah.
I think it looks fantastic.
Awesome.
I've got another scrap of timber.
Okay.
So what we can do, if you like, is just clamp those together, and then I'll use the jigsaw, give you a bit of demo, and
Yep.
maybe you can take over and show you how to work the jigsaw.
Sounds good. Kids, make sure you're always doing this with a grown-up at home, okay? Never try to use a jigsaw by yourself. So what have we got there, Baz? What are you using there to hold the pieces
Just
of wood
a couple
together?
of little sliding clamps. These things slide up and down, they go really wide, and then they just hand clamp in.
Perfect.
We'll probably have to adjust them as we go.
Yep. All right, kids, I've got the approval from Baz and Benny. The car's looking good. We've got one piece of wood placed on top of another piece of wood, and we've got them clamped together so that we just have to do one cut. Saves us a bit of time, doesn't it, Baz?
Saves a bit of time. You could do it individually as well. Now, we're going to do that with a jigsaw. I'll take the power source out while we're having a look at it.
Okay.
But you can see there's all different types of blades you can get for a jigsaw.
Right.
You can cut metal, you can cut plastic, and you can cut timber. There's an adjustment here. I have to put my glasses on to see it, of course. There's an adjustment there. So number 3 is for wood. Number 2 is for wooden curves, so we'll go back to that. Number 1 is for plastic, and 0 is for steel. So you
Okay.
can adjust that. That
Still the hardest.
steel's the hardest, yeah. So that'll adjust the angle of the blade.
There you go.
Okay.
So we
So
wanna
once
be on
you've
the wood
done
side.
that, a couple of tips if you're going to attempt to use a jigsaw or any power saw really.
Yep.
Make sure, just like if you were boxing, you've got nice balance on the ground. You don't want to be too far forward because you'll fall forward, or too far back because you'll fat, and you don't want to lose your balance when you're holding a power tool.
Certainly not.
Plant your feet on the ground. Now I have what I call a drop zone. So if the saw was to break or drop, it'll fall naturally back away from the body. Don't stand like this because you could
Yeah.
cause injury to yourself.
Okay, good tip.
Once you're happy with all that, we plug into the power source, position myself on the ground. Before you do that, of course, we've got to put on our PPE gear.
Okay, what's PPE gear, Baz?
Personal protection equipment,
Okay.
but protect your eyes, protect your ears.
All right, and we've got some here.
Got some here.
I've got my glasses. Benny's got his glasses and earmuffs on, ready to go.
Huh?
Huh? What did you say?
What? I can't hear you.
Ozzie, Ozzie.
What?
Okay, so we've got all our safety gear on, and I'll just point out, kids, that this tool is only to be used by a grown-up. But when you get a bit older, you can probably have a go at one of these yourself.
It's a handy tool for any DIY, adult DIY to have in their tool kit, but as you say, not before you're a teenager at least.
Okay.
So when I'm older, can I use this?
Yeah, you can.
Benny. All right, show us how it's done, Baz.
Again, nice and balanced on the ground. I can't overstress that. There's a little guide here. You want to have a go, Ozzie?
Oh, I'd love to have a go, Baz.
All
I
right.
won't
Do you
have
think
a go.
No, you won't have a go, mate.
What's that?
What's that?
All right, so Ozzie's going to have a turn. Cut in. Which way am I going to go? This way. All right, one last cut, and I think we're almost there.
So what we've got now is the sides of our shelving unit.
That's exciting, Baz. Looking good.
You're liking the look of that? So
I do.
that'll go against the wall. And now what we want is a couple of shelves That way you can hold their little matchbox cars on top of those.
Very good.
Happy with that?
I love that. All right, Baz, so we've got our two sides of the shelf.
Yep.
Now, how do we clean up these edges over here?
Yeah, just a bit of sandpaper. You could use a sander, but a little bit of hand sandpaper, Benny. You'll be able to do one. Ozzie, you can do one as well.
Very good.
And just smooth it all out. That's going to take a bit of time, so I might go and grab a coffee.
Well, we'll be here, mate. You know where to find us. All right, Benny, show us how it's done, buddy. So you just keep rubbing back and forth, is that right?
Yeah.
I like it. Good tips from Benny.
And then it will be sand.
And then it's sanded nice and even, is it? So what we're trying to do here, kids, is we're just going to use that sandpaper to flatten out the edges and make it nice and smooth. So you can see how there's some rough edges here. And we're going to use that sandpaper, and that's what is going to make it nice and smooth. Benny's doing a great job over there. So as you can see here, kids, that F1 racing car is really starting to take shape. And that's what's going to sit sideways up against the wall, just like that. So this is just pine wood, kids. So whatever the grown-ups have lying around the house, that's what you can use to make these shelves.
And sometimes I find if you're going to throw something out, we love recycling.
Yeah.
So if you're going to throw something out, maybe you could break it up and use it for
Yep.
something like this. Reusing stuff is just a great way to save the planet.
Absolutely. All right, so my one's it's looking pretty good, Baz and Benny. How's your one looking over there?
Good.
Yeah? Are we almost ready to put the shelves in, do you think?
Why not? I've pre-cut a couple already for you, so we're ready to pre-drill and screw those together.
Sounds good. We've got our sides, and Baz has pre-cut.
I pre-cut these, again, just some offcuts that I had, but for me that's wide enough to hold your little matchbox toy or car, or maybe a bit of Lego, something you might want to display in a kid's room.
Yeah, perfect.
The fact that the kids have had something to do with making this, I think it's just great. So what do you reckon, Benny? 3 of them like that?
Yeah.
All right.
Looks good to me. So, kids, that's going to be our shelves. Now we just need to screw them into the sides.
Yeah. All right, to do that, now I'm going to introduce a little drill here that I think is fantastic for first time or new DIYers, or if you want to get the kids involved with putting flat packs together and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's only a little 4-volt battery drill from Ryobi. So it's not a super powerful one like this,
Yeah.
but it'll handle a job like this or putting flat packs together really easily. And I think it's something that kids can get started on.
Perfect.
Can I
Great
do
little...
it?
You can do it, mate. Yeah, for sure you can. Is it all right if Benny and I pre-drill this one?
I'd love you to pre-drill that one for us, please.
All
Baz
right.
and Benny.
Now you're right, Benny, I want to put 2 holes. One about there and one about there. Now remember, you've got to hold the drill nice and straight up and down. Not over, not that way, not that way. Nice and straight, okay? Hands up. Hang on a second, buddy. Little trick I
reverse.
learnt in the army, make sure you got it in forward, not reverse.
Very good.
Hold it nice and straight up and down. Good. Out. Keep it on as you come out. Another one right on that line. Good work, buddy. Couple more. Do you want to give it a try out, Ozzie?
Oh, I'd love to,
Yeah?
please. Thanks, Baz.
It's a handy little drill, that.
It's a good little help. Thanks, mate. All right, so that's our drill. We've got all our holes done. Now we're ready to use the screws and put our shelves on. Is that right, Baz?
Yeah, I'll use these little 25mm screws. So it's going to go through the timber, and it'll be about the same distance out the other side. So I think that's going to be plenty of strength to hold that in place.
Perfect.
Who's going to do it, Benny? You or Ozzie? You're stealing the show, aren't you?
I think Benny's pretty keen, so maybe we give Benny a turn, shall we?
Yeah, so we might.
Thanks,
Then you.
mate.
Yeah. I'm losing status here. By the
Yeah.
sec-
Daddy.
Then
It's all
Daddy.
about the kids, not about Ozzie.
Want me to help you for the first one?
Yeah.
Bit more. Oh, nice.
Good job, Benny.
Now look at that, Oz. You want that nice and flush?
Okay,
Yeah, and it just had just enough torque, so it's ideal drill for this situation.
excellent. Okay, kids, you can see how Benny has Baz helping him there.
Go, mate.
Baz is holding the shelf, and helping Benny screw that screw into the shelf there. And look at that, it's nice and flush.
Done a
I think
good
you've
job.
done this before, haven't you, buddy?
No, he hasn't. He's going really well.
That's fantastic. So as you can see, Benny's never done this before, and it's nice and easy with the help of a grown-up. And we've got a few more screws in. Benny, do you want to have another turn?
Yeah.
I think it's really important. It doesn't matter if you're a parent and you're not that confident with DIY.
Yeah.
If you go nice and slow and you take on small jobs, you'll build the confidence.
Yep.
The family will build confidence around DIY. And it's a great way to empower yourself and gain knowledge to improve your home.
Excellent. I guess that's what it's about with everything, right? Just having a go, starting small and simple,
That's it.
and working your way up to more complex and difficult projects. You're trying to make me look good. I like it. Thanks, buddy.
Work well.
Just enough. All right, so I've got a grown-up here helping me hold that shelf in place, and I've got that screw ready, and I'm just going to press down firmly. And there's one screw in. So we've got one more screw left, kids. And Baz and Benny have been kind enough to let Ozzie do the final screw. And Benny's just going to hold it there for me.
Perfect.
Job.
Good job.
Good stuff. So there we have
Here,
our race car shelf.
have a look at, there's a fake wall for you, Ozzie. Put that
Okay.
there.
And so look at that, kids.
Whoa.
That's how it's going to sit
Your little cars can sit on
on the
there.
shelf at home. You have your cars, all sorts of little toys or whatever you want to put on the shelf. That's pretty cool, Benny.
Did you
What do you
enjoy
reckon,
that?
mate?
Pretty basically though, all we got was a couple of scraps of timber.
Yeah.
You draw the perfect race car on the side. You can draw
Absolutely.
any shape you like, really.
Yep.
Again, I cut these out of a piece of timber I did pick up from the hardware store.
Okay.
Screwed it together, and you could have done just about the whole job with that and a bit of sandpaper.
Yeah,
Jigsaw, if you're going to use the jigsaw, make sure you got mum or dad handy.
absolutely. Safety first, as always. Now, I'm not sure I quite like these colours for my room. So what do you reckon? Should we paint this up, Benny?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Paint it blue.
Blue, red, pink, yellow, or gold and green for Ozzie. Whatever colour you guys like at home, kids, to match your bedroom. But that would be the next step, is to take it and paint it, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And then you get it grown up to help you hang it on the wall.
Or just leave it in your desk.
Perfect.
Love it, Ozzie. Thanks for coming around.
Mate, thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much, Benny. I really appreciate you showing me all these awesome tools and building this project with Ozzie. It's been awesome. Kids, I hope you've enjoyed it at home. As always, stay keen.
Bye.
Ozzie, 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 oi. Ozzie is a friend of yours and he's a friend of mine.
G'day kids, Ozzie here. Wasn't that good fun learning about the different tools and getting to do the project with Baz and his son Benny? How awesome were they? Now we're going to read a book and it's called The Toolbox. This is a book that my dad used to read to me when I was a little boy and I used to love it. It's a really old book, but it's a classic and I hope you kids enjoy it too. It's called The Toolbox and it's by Anne and Harlow Rockwell. Now let's see if we can find some of the tools that we used in that last video. In my cellar, there is a toolbox. It is dark brown where the hands have touched it. Up here on the handle, because it's a really old toolbox. It has a saw. This one over here. See the sharp teeth? It's used to cut things. But these days it's a whole lot easier to use a power saw, isn't it? Gets the job done a lot quicker. And a hammer and nails. And a drill that goes around and around. See this? That's a drill. That's an old drill because now we have power drills just like the one we used in the video with Baz and Benny. And you just press the button and it drills the holes or screws the screws in. But this one does the same. It makes holes in wood. It It has screws and a screwdriver, and there is a clamp that holds pieces of wood together. See? We used clamps in the project with Baz and Benny too, didn't we? There is a big strong wrench, this guy over here, that turns the big fat nuts and bolts. And it's really strong so that it can make the nuts and bolts really tight. And there is a plane that smooths wood and makes curly shavings like this. The plane, you run it across the top of the wood and it shaves off these shavings, and they're good fun to play with. I used to pick them up and put them over my ears, put them in my hair. Lots of fun. There is a ruler that measures. There are pliers that pinch. There is sandpaper to smooth wood and plaster, just like the sandpaper that Benny and Ozzie used in the video. There are work gloves, and there is a file to rub on rough edges of metal to make them smooth. There are sharp wire cutters and a roll of wire. And there is an oil can with a tiny hole, and that's used to put on bike chains and things that you need the oil to make things run smooth again. It is my father's toolbox. See, the little boy is working in the garage or the workshop with his father on a project. Do you love working with your dad or your grown-up or whoever on different projects? I know I certainly do. And in the video you can see that Benny loves working on projects with his dad Baz. That's why today we've got a really special second book. And it's called My Dad by Anthony Brown. He's all right, my dad. My dad isn't afraid of anything, even the big bad wolf. He can jump right over the moon and walk on a tightrope without falling off. He can wrestle with giants or win the father's race on sports day easily. He's all right, my dad. And look, he does it, wearing his pajamas and his dressing gown. How cool is this, Dad? My dad can eat like a horse. Can your dad? And he can swim like a fish. He is as strong as a gorilla and as happy as a hippopotamus. He's all right, my dad. My dad's as big as a house and as soft as my teddy. He's as wise as an owl and daft as a brush. Look, he's a bit silly, isn't he? Is your dad a bit silly sometimes? He's all right, my dad. My dad's a great dancer and a brilliant singer. Does your dad think he's a brilliant singer too? He's fantastic at football and he makes me laugh a lot. Does your dad make you laugh? Dads always think they're funny, don't they? I love my dad. And you know what? He loves me. And he always will. Isn't that so cool? Two really good books, kids, about the toolbox and my dad. I hope you really enjoyed them, and I hope you enjoy learning lots of things like building projects and how to be funny from your dad. We'll see you on the next video, and until then, as always, stay keen. Make sure you get a grown-up to help you hit subscribe. That way, you won't miss out on any of the new videos that come out. And did you happen to find the hidden Aussie icon in that video? Make sure you look really closely, because they're in every single video. And we'll see you again soon. Until then, stay keen. Don't forget to follow Ozzie on our social channels, at Aussie for Kids. Feel free to send us some ideas on what you want to learn about next. What sports you'd like to play, jobs you want Ozzie to feature, vehicles you're fascinated with, or any subjects you'd like to know more about. I'm just as keen as you, so together, let's learn more. And if you've got any friends that you think might like Ozzie, don't forget to tell them too. See you next time, kids. Until then, stay keen.
Ozzie, 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 oi. Ozzie is a friend of yours and he's a friend of mine.